Or you can telephone us on 1850 715 900, text us on 51551, todaypk@rt.ie for your emails. Well, with more and more mortgage holders struggling with repayments, a government-appointed expert group has published a series of recommendations aimed at helping those in mortgage arrears. It's estimated that over 32,000 are falling behind with payments, and that number is set to rise. I'm joined now in studio by Brendan Burgess, a personal finance expert and chartered accountant, and Brendan will be joining us every week over the summer to discuss people's money stories, their debts, their loans, their relationship with their banks. He's also a member of the government's expert group on mortgage arrears. Brendan, you're very welcome to the programme.
Thank you.
Let's deal with the hot news first before we go into the item that you've prepared for us today about negative equity. What exactly are the 5 steps that you're proposing, and are they now for discussion or are they going to be implemented?
Oh, the recommendations in the report, the government came out yesterday and said they are going to actually implement those recommendations.
When?
So, as soon as possible. The objective of these recommendations, the interim report, we focused on things which could be implemented very quickly by directions to the lenders, and also there will have to be some changes to the legislation on.
Well, you see, that's what I'm getting
at,
because they're going on their holiers at the end of this week. And therefore, no legislation on this is going to be passed unless the government decides to fast-track something between now and Friday.
Well, the legislation on the mortgage interest supplement, that's the only legislation that is required, and that's there are 2 social welfare bills apparently every year. So, I mean, that will happen in the next 6 months. They're fairly major changes to mortgage interest supplement at least. So, it does take a little bit of time to make these changes. But the government have committed. They like the report. They say we're going to implement those recommendations.
As you know, it's been contrasted, the pace of this with the way they rescue the banks. The big guys get rescued post-haste. The small guys, they have to wait till legislation funnels its way through the Dáil, and we'll do this in an orderly way. Meantime, people are getting deeper and deeper and deeper in the hole.
Yeah, well, we were appointed 4 months ago, and we've come out with an interim report after 4 months, and we've committed to coming out with a final report by the end of September. So I suppose, looking at our response, we're dealing with it fairly promptly, and they are difficult issues.
Now let's talk about what you have recommended and which the government has committed to implementing.
Okay, there's a few good points in it, like, for example, tracker mortgages. There's a great fear out there at the moment that people who have tracker mortgages, if they fall into arrears and go into the bank will use that as an opportunity to get them off their cheap trackers. A lot of people out there are paying 1.5% on their tracker mortgages at the moment. Like, that's a very low rate. That rate is, the actual margin there, the 0.5% is guaranteed for the life of the mortgage. The banks will not be able to get people off tracker mortgages if they fall into arrears.
So even if, for example, they look at loan to value and say, we gave you that based on your house being worth,
doesn't matter,
$500,000, and now it's only worth 300,000, so the loan to value is falling.
We're saying on home loans, if you have a cheap tracker and you go into the bank and say, I'm in difficulty, can you reschedule my loan? The bank cannot use that as an opportunity to kick you off your tracker.
Okay.
That's going to be a great relief to an awful lot of people.
Right, that is a terrific thing in giving people comfort.
Yeah.
That's
another thing that people are worried about now is penalty interest. If you fall into arrears, some banks have it in their contract that they can charge you penalty interest, up to 6% in some cases, but in some of the subprimes it's in the contract that they can charge up to 12% a year on top of the ordinary interest rate. We're saying no penalty interest.
Just
and
pay
no
the
charges.
rate.
You just pay the ordinary rate of interest that you're being charged on your loan, and that's it. So
another good thing.
That's another good thing.
Number 3.
So number 3, I think the main issues then would be to do with the mortgage interest supplement. At the moment, there are about 16,500 people getting mortgage interest supplement. This is a payment whereby if you lose your job or become disabled and you can't pay your mortgage, you go down to your social welfare officer and they make a decision as to whether to help you pay your mortgage or not. Yeah. So this has evolved over a period of years, and it was designed in a completely different economic environment. Sure. And now we've had a look at that, and we've come up with a few suggestions on mortgage interest supplement. So one thing that was happening was if you had a subprime loan and you were paying 8 or 9% interest on it, you were not getting the mortgage interest supplement because it was felt that you shouldn't be paying a mortgage, you couldn't afford a mortgage, therefore you shouldn't be getting help from the state. What we have suggested, and the government has agreed, is that we will only pay mortgage interest supplement if the lender reduces the rate to the average standard variable rate.
In other words, you're saying there's no risk, guys. We're paying this, so therefore you're not going to penalise people for taking a loan that the state is effectively guaranteeing.
Well, they wouldn't be guaranteed a loan as such, but they'll be paying money. They will be paying the mortgage interest for the next while. And
how long do you remain on the mortgage interest supplement? Because I mean, if it was there forever, you'd see nobody in court being repossessed, and that's clearly not the case.
It's about 2 years is what we feel. We feel that it's not a long-term solution. I mean, we're quite clear about this, that if you have bought a house and you cannot afford the house in the long term, we're going to have to look at ways of dealing with that. Like the idea that somebody, you say a single guy living in a 3-bedroomed house with a €600,000 mortgage should be bailed out by the state.
Yeah.
I don't want to anticipate what's happening in the next stage, but it's unlikely that we'd be providing much support for that person in the long term.
Number 4 then.
Another point on, say, the mortgage interest supplement is that 80% of people who apply for mortgage interest supplement have not even spoken to their bank in the first place. They have not gone to the bank and said, look, we want you to give us a payment break or whatever. So what we're saying is that the mortgage interest supplement will not be paid until 6 months after you lose your job.
Okay, so you've got to go to your bank.
You've got to go to your bank and do a deal with your bank. And of course, under the overall code of conduct on mortgage arrears, the bank must, do a deal with you if you engage with them. So,
but that's the point, that they already, a bit like, you can't go to a consultant unless you're recommended to go by a GP. You're saying that you don't talk to us about mortgage interest supplement unless you've already engaged with your bank.
Yeah, go to your bank. Between yourself and the bank.
A prerequisite, or?
Oh yes, yeah. Between your bank and yourself, sort things out for the first 6 months, and then we'll step in after that. The taxpayer. I mean, this all the time here. We're trying to get a balance between the borrower, the taxpayer, and the lender. Right. And it's a difficult balance to get.
Is there anything else in your recommendations then?
Well, another thing that we're suggesting is that if you, when you took out your loan, had a guarantor, well, we're saying if you get into trouble, go to the guarantor. Don't go to the state looking to be bailed out by the state. Go to the guarantor in the first place. So mortgage interest supplement will not be paid on mortgages where there's a guarantor in place.
All right, so you're talking about Mammy and Daddy who've guaranteed the young couple's mortgage. That first port of call is them.
Absolutely. Well, we had a situation where Mammy and Daddy were earning $600,000 a year and guaranteed their 25-year-old son a loan at 10 times their salary. That son is now in trouble. Mammy and Daddy were good enough to guarantee. Mammy and Daddy should now be good enough to help out the son.
All right. If Mammy and Daddy have lost their $600,000 a year job. The story. Anything else we should know about this?
No, I think